unto man once to die, but after this, the judgment.
Well, the other day I got my shot, and I was at work, and I found this old tool here, and I said, well, it will show up in the stud finder on my arm. So I did the test. Watch, this is the real stud finder from Walmart. It picked it. Yep. Yeah. You see, watch. See it beeping. Oh God, it found it. Hold on, let's see. Now this is the arm I didn't have. I didn't have no shot in this. That's my good arm here. All right, see it beeping here. See it beeping here. See it beeping. See, ain't nothing there. Oh God.
Now, I can't stress it enough, everybody, that there is no such thing as coincidence. Welcome to the Heads, Not the Tails. Enjoy the ride.
Dr. Fauci, do you still support funding of the NIH funding of the lab in Wuhan?
Senator Paul, with all due respect, you are entirely and completely incorrect that the NIH has not ever and does not now fund gain-of-function research in the Wuhan Institute
Do they fund
of
Dr.
Virology.
Barrick?
We do not fund.
Do you fund Dr. Barrick's gain-of-function research?
Dr. Barrett does not doing gain-of-function research, and if it is, it's according to the guidelines, and it is being conducted in North Carolina.
Do you support that the money from NIH that was going to the Wuhan Institute?
Let me explain to you why that was done. The SARS-CoV-1 originated in bats in China. It would have been irresponsible of us if we did not investigate the bat viruses and the serology to see who might have been
Or
infected.
perhaps it would be
in China.
irresponsible to send it to the Chinese government that we may not be able to trust with this knowledge and with this incredibly dangerous viruses. Government scientists like yourself who favor gain-of-function research.
I don't favor
maintain
gain-of-function research
that
in
the
China.
disease
You are
arose
saying things
naturally.
that are not correct.
What's up, everybody? Once again, this is Brother Christopher with the Heads, Not the Tails. You guys know what a concoction is? Let's take a look at the definition here. You remember when you were a kid, and I'm speaking to those that kind of grew up in the 80s, the 90s era, maybe before that. You used to go to the soda machine and mix a whole bunch of different sodas together. And what'd you call it? We called it a suicide. Well, things that are going on right now on this earth is what I call a great concoction of different things that's basically committing suicide.
Government defenders of gain of function, such as yourself, say that COVID-19 mutations were random and not designed by man. But interestingly, the technique that Dr. Barrick developed forces mutations by serial passage through cell culture that the mutations appear to be natural. In fact, Dr. Barrick named the technique the no-see-'em technique because the mutations appear naturally. Nicholas Baker in the New York Magazine said nobody would know if the virus had been fabricated in a laboratory or grown in nature.
So, it's just a theory of mine, but I want to share it with you. As you all know, they've been spraying chemtrails on us for years now. Every day they spray, they spray, they spray. They're spraying right now. Let me see if I can get you guys to see that right there. They're spraying right now. They're spraying a part of a concoction. So, I think the stuff that they're spraying in these chemtrails is everything that you heard of that they're spraying. Aluminum and all types of different things, right? Strontium, all that. Well, what I think is going on here is in these chemtrails is the substance that is showing up in people's bodies that they identify as CVD-19, right? So I just want you to think about this. They're spraying on us for years, so a lot of people it has affected, and then there's probably some people that it really hasn't affected. But either way, it's mixed all in the air and it's getting in our bodies. So, once a certain amount of people have this substance in their body, they get the flu or they get a cold or anything, and they say, hey, all this jive about COVID, I better go get checked out. And then they go to the doctor to get checked out. And once they get to the doctor to get checked out, what happens? They run the test and they say, you know what? This person has CVD-19. I'm just trying not to say the name too much on here, but because they were one of the people that were exposed to the chemtrails, it shows up in their system as CVD-19. And then they get labeled with that. So, out of millions and millions of people, they're getting tested, and many people are coming up positive for the CVD-19. When in fact, all they really have in them is that substance. Now, going a little bit deeper, the stuff that is in the chemtrails, it's also aluminum or strontium or something like that, right? So they spray it in the sky, metal particulates stick into the moisture and into the clouds, and they're able to control the clouds now, right? Control the weather. Well, that stuff is also getting in our body. If you get what I'm getting at here.
Today I want to discuss something that has made its way slightly into the mainstream media. Although many of you may already be well aware of the many videos of people sticking magnets to their arms at the site of the new injection. Now, When we see video footage of things like this come out, because of a habit, we tend to lean towards it being a hoax, or we become very skeptical about its authenticity, mainly because people can do some amazing things on camera. You know, we have technologies that are many, many, many years ahead of what we have available to us, to the public. Whenever they present you with some new medical technology or weapon technology or vehicle technology or communications technology, they've done it already. Those clones you didn't want them to make, too late. I bet they're still pissed off about all the nukes they made for no reason. They have technologies that far surpass that now. When they started to present the idea of nanotechnology many decades ago, they achieved that back then. Now we have super advanced nanotechnology. And what we once thought was micro science fiction is now a reality. So what's going on? Why are magnets sticking to people's arms after receiving an injection with what are widely known to have nanoparticle technology in them? Well, there may be an answer to that, and they are called MNPs, magnetic nanoparticles. And the madness continues.
Government authorities in the U.S., including yourself, unequivocally deny that COVID-19 could have escaped a lab. But even Dr. Shi in Wuhan wasn't so sure. According to Nicholas Baker, Dr. Shi wondered, could this new virus have come from her own laboratory? She checked her records frantically and found no matches. That really took a load off my mind, she said. I had not slept for days. The director of the gain of function research in Wuhan couldn't sleep because she was terrified that it might be in her lab. Dr. Barrick, an advocate of gain of function research, admits the main problem that the Institute of Virology has is the outbreak occurred in close proximity. What are the odds? Barrick responded, could you rule out a laboratory escape? The answer in this case is probably not. Will you, in front of this group, categorically say that the COVID-19 could not have occurred through serial passage in a laboratory?
I do not have any accounting of what the Chinese may have done, and I'm fully in favor of any further investigation of what went on in China. However, I will repeat again, the NIH and NIAID categorically has not funded gain-of-function research to be conducted in the Wuhan Institute of Virology.
You support it in the U.S. We have 11 labs doing it, and you have allowed it here. We have a committee to do it, but the committee has granted every exemption. You're fooling with Mother Nature here. You're allowing super viruses to be created with a 15% mortality. It's very dangerous. I think it was a huge mistake to share this with China, and it's a huge mistake to allow this to continue in the United States. And we should be very careful to investigate where this virus came from.
I fully agree that you should investigate where the virus came from. But again, we have not funded gain-of-function research on this virus in the Wuhan Institute of Virology, no matter how many times
you're parsing
you say
words.
it.
There was
didn't happen.
research. There was research done with Dr. Shi and Dr. Barrick. They have collaborated on gain-of-function research where they enhanced the SARS virus to infect human airway cells, and they did it by merging a new spike protein on it. That is gain-of-function. That was joint research between the Wuhan Institute and Dr. Barrick. You can't deny it.
Senator Paul, your time has expired. Dr. Fauci, I will let you respond to that when we need to move on.
Excuse me?
I will allow you to respond to that, and then we'll move on.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to say, I don't know how many times I can say it, Madam Chair. We did not fund gain-of-function research to be conducted in the Wuhan Institute of Virology.
there is important information here. So here we go. Let's go slow. There it is. Biochemical functionality of magnetic particles as nanosensors. How far away are we to implement them into clinical practice? Well, apparently we've implemented it. This was published back in May of 2019 in the Journal of Biotechnology. There's no magnets sticking to people's arms. Those are fakes. Fact check. Yeah. Yet the science behind magnetic bio-nanotechnology has been out there and has been used before in several applications. Magnetic nanosensors have become attractive instruments for the diagnosis and treatment of different diseases. They represent an efficient carrier system in drug delivery or in transporting contrast agents. Contrast agents, I love it. They absolutely love to throw people off with that. Oh, contrast agents, don't know what that is. Doesn't sound like a big deal, won't bother to look that up. You know what? Go research Dr. Carrie Murray, and she will explain to you how you can take a substance with this type of nanotechnology in combination with bioluminescent technology. You could possibly create a marker in a targeted part of the body and use imaging equipment to scan and detect the marker. They've made it known already.
They can control people, right? But not right this second. There's still things that are missing in this concoction that they need. So now they got the vaccine here. That's another part of this concoction / suicide. So if you see where I'm getting, they're taking all these different elements at different times and they're exposing it to us or putting it in us. The Bible warned us about the mark of the beast. Now, if y'all remember, if you've seen my vision of the 4 horsemen, mark of the beast, you'll see that after they put everybody into a great line, they started marching everybody to these facilities. And when you get to them facilities, they were pushing people through this machine. And these big old knots, or one of my subscribers used a better word. He said they're like tumors, right? These big old tumors would appear on your body, but not just anywhere. They were on your wrist, close to the hand, or right here on your forehead. So I believe once they get all these different concoctions finally mixed up in us, they're going to try to push us through a machine that's going to make all that metal and everything that they put in you, it's going to manifest. And it's going to manifest the mark.
Radio contrast agents. What are radio contrast agents? Radio contrast agents are substances such as iodine or barium compounds administered to a patient using imaging technology to increase the contrast of an image. Now, with this new injection, the contrast agent would be luciferase, which is what they used in lab animals for the imaging purposes. So yes, they can put these particles into the body, direct them to a specific location in the body, and then later image those particles that have concentrated in that part of the body. So look, it says here, and this is very interesting, concerning in vivo applications, which means whole living organisms, Drugs are attached to MNPs and carried to a specific location, a process called drug delivery. In other in vivo system, magnetic nanosensors as contrast agents are available to convert a biochemical information through radiation into an analytic signal in magnetic resonance imaging, or MRI. So you see they are already using this technology. The extracorporeal approaches such as blood purification, magnetic nanosensors are used to bind and collect specific biochemical or cellular entities that on the top allow for detailed analysis or diagnosis after recovery of the sensors. Blood purification with magnetic nanosensors can be considered similar to a dialysis device, whereas no sensor particles are allowed to reach the body after the purified blood is redirected to the patient. And you should also know, folks, that in this article, I believe they discuss about how difficult it is once these nanoparticles are introduced into the body, how difficult it is to get rid of them. In fact, in a lot of the cases, they've failed in many attempts to get rid of these nanoparticles after in vivo applications. So what they are saying is that these particles can pick up and deliver. They can also deliver radiation to a tumor site, releasing just enough radiation to stop the growth of the tumor. This technology is also used in chemotherapeutic applications. Folks, they can put these magnetic nanoparticles into the body. They can then take a magnet and direct and move those particles to any part of the body they want. Think about how big a meter is, or yard. Imagine how big that is. Now imagine something 100 million times smaller than that meter. Well, these particles are 10 times smaller than that. 1/1000th of a meter. And that is why this can be done, because these particles are so small, they can just pass through tissue. The next part of the document discusses materials and synthesis. Understand that these nanoparticles, once they enter the body recognizes these particles as foreign and therefore attacks them. So what they do is they coat them with carbon or with polyethylene glycol. Now, listen, you're probably at some point going to hear about spions, which don't sound good, but according to this, they can build biodegradable nanoparticles, which is a plus, I guess, when it comes to getting these particles out of the body. Biodegradation of spions is dependent on coating and coating material as well as on size. Coating influences biodegradation due to partial hindered access to the metal oxide core. Concerning biodegradation, very small particles will be quickly eliminated in the body by the kidneys, whereas on the other hand, large nanoparticles will be filtered in the liver and spleen. These are important aspects when aiming at an in vivo application of the nanoparticles. I want you all to try and keep this in mind when it comes to spions. Magnetic nanosensors as a carrier system, drug delivery. Magnetic nanoparticles are considered ideal candidates for drug delivery for several reasons. Their large surface-to-volume ratio allows for a high loading with active substances. Moreover, these MNPs can be directed by a magnet and facilitate targeted delivery of drugs. Finally, stable dispersions and fast transportation in fluids can be realized due to the small size of the MNPs. And of course, this is an image of how you can carry chemotherapeutic drugs to a target organ using a magnet. Now, if such nanoparticles were injected into, let's say, the arm, does that injection have enough magnetism to have a small magnet stick to the injection site? And the answer is, they can charge these nanoparticles to make them super magnetic. Now, here's the issue with these particles, and they explain this in a section called Risk Assessment of MNPs, or clinical applications. And what it says is that initially, when experimenting with nanoparticles in vivo, they thought that they would have little or no adverse effects until later on. See, a nanoparticle is not organic, nor is it a chemical or like a heavy metal toxin. It's not like that. So therefore, your body doesn't just get rid of them. They say that these particles could trigger inflammation, and over time, being trapped in the tissue can create chronic inflammation and fibrosis. They suggest that it can also cause cancer, but the long-term studies are missing. They say these particles can influence blood pressure, and they are engineered to influence the coagulation system of the blood. And then that's what you end up with, and the cells want to clump together to form these strands of blood cells, and you've got stringy blood. That's not good. Look at this. Nanoparticles, once present in the body, may target various systems. There are effects of nanoparticles found on the circulatory system, where nanoparticles indirectly influence, for example, blood pressure. Important to note, when looking at the circulatory system, is the fact that nanoparticles are engineered to influence the coagulation system of the blood. At the same time, MNPs designed for any other indication may evoke or unwanted pro or anticoagulant effect in the blood. Are you freaking kidding me? And they keep saying they don't know why people are coming down with blood clots after the injection. Are you getting this, folks? Please do not let this information go to waste. I am presenting this to you for a reason. I'm sure you have heard of people reporting strange menstrual cycles and even miscarriages that they are trying to blame on the injection. Well, guess what? The reproductive system is another target of nanoparticles with possible detrimental effects. Upon in vivo applications, nanoparticles may accumulate in reproductive organs, where they have direct effects on germ cells with reduced cell count or activity in both female and male germ cells. When they say germ cells, they're talking about our reproductive cells. They're talking about sperm and the eggs. Furthermore, nanoparticles are able to alter or damage DNA in cells, which would be especially problematic in germ cells. In a recent in vitro study, uptake of coated spions in granulosa cells was tested. It was found that depending on the coating, no or only low uptake and toxicity of spions was observed. So there you have it, and this is just a single document.
So when you hear people say, oh, the vaccine is not the mark of the beast, I beg to differ. It's a part of the concoction, okay? So, no matter what, resist it. Do not take it. It is a part of the mark of the beast. Now, the devil is slick. He's doing it in little concoctions of this and that so that it won't cause a panic, because if they just create the whole thing in one and force it on people and you see what it actually is, then you wouldn't take it. A lot of people wouldn't take it. But the devil's no dummy. He was God's right-hand man. He was a strategist for God. He knows how to manipulate people. So he is doing it very subtly. But the end result is going to be eternal death.
Now that I got all that out of the way, I want to share with you guys how long I've been talking about this vision that I had of the four horsemen and the military forcing the mark on people. I created this video, the very first video, back in 2015. It was my very first video on my channel. But I had this vision in 2008. So the Lord has been warning me this whole time. So let's go back, starting with my most recent video that I uploaded. I believe I entitled it The Four Horsemen Vision of the Mark. Now that's only 10 months ago, but I'm going to show you different clips to where I actually was talking about this metal detector like device.
Now there were thousands of people in the line in front of me, and way up ahead I could hear people screaming as they went through this checkpoint, and it scared me. I didn't know what was going on, but in this line I was able to move out of the line and look around the people, but I couldn't see what they were doing. But as I got closer to this checkpoint, I saw them pushing people across this metal detector looking thing built into the ground. And once they pushed someone across this line, they were marked. This knot would come out of their forehead with this scarish looking burn over it. And I watched somebody get pushed through and a knot came out of their head. Then I watched another person get pushed through and a knot came right out of their wrist, like out of their forearm.
Okay, so you can see that 10 months ago on my latest version that I was talking about metal detector. Now that was only 10 months ago. It wasn't as far back as the coronavirus started. So let's go a little bit further into my videos. I'm going to show you where back in 2018 or 2019 I was talking about a metal detector style device back in one of them videos, but I think I actually go back further right here. So just bear with me and we're going to go over all of these.
And I remember walking in the line, and everyone came to this point in the line where it's like a checkpoint. And I remember as I started getting closer to the checkpoint, I was watching the people in front of me, and every time they got close to the line, I would hear someone scream, and as if something was happening up here at this checkpoint. And I don't know what it was, but I started getting closer and closer till it came to a few people in front of me. I watched one person get pushed over the line, and a big old knot popped out of his head right here. A giant scar looking like someone just got punched in the head real hard and that knot come up, except for that knot had like a scar looking tissue over it. It was real ugly looking. Popped up on this guy's head and he screamed and he walked off. Then the next person, they push him over the line. And I believe the same thing, something popped up on his head, and he was holding his head like this, and a big old knot came out of his head. And then it came down to me, and them soldiers grabbed me, and they pushed me over the line, and a big knot popped up out of my arm, like this big. Ugly, scarish looking knot popped out of my arm after they pushed me over this line. And I remember seeing it and it being so hideous that I covered it with my shirt. And I walked off. And once you passed that checkpoint, it didn't matter where you went from there and stuff. It seemed like it didn't matter, like you were marked and that was it. And I remember walking into this building, and next thing you know, I was in like this concrete room, and there was people everywhere leaning against the walls and sitting and laying down up against the walls, and everyone was crying.
Now, this was actually my first video I ever uploaded to YouTube, but we're going to go through them because the whole time I was referring to this checkpoint metal detector style thing as pushing people over a line. But I go further and I realize, you know what, I need to describe this thing in detail in my later videos. And that's when I started describing what it looked like a metal detector. And that video that I uploaded was still before the coronavirus hits for the skeptics out there. So this video right here I did was 2017, but I realized that I still wasn't describing this metal detector in this video here. So I'm just kind of going through and showing you guys how I was making different versions of this four horsemen vision. But we'll eventually get to the one that I was talking about, a metal detector style device. And just bear with me here. We're going to go through a few of them. Okay, this is April 26, 2018.
What's up, everybody? This is Brother Christopher with the Heads, Not the Tails, and I'm making this
out there can recognize the word of the Lord. Ken Peters made a DVD for us in 2001, I believe it was. Might have been 2000, called I Saw the Tribulation. And in this, he tells about how he was standing in line. There would be people in line that were walking up and down the line with clipboards in their hands saying, "We have food, we have a dry place for you to sleep, we have everything you need. All you have to do is step out of line and deny him." And they would never say the name Jesus. They would say, all you have to do is deny him. And this sounds like what you're talking about here, where they're asking people to deny Christ, right?
Yes. Well, that is what anti-Christ would mean, wouldn't it?
That's
Anti-Messiah. Against. Yes, because in the spirit realm, there aren't lots of different ways. There's only one redemption for man, and that's through Jesus. And yes, and these extreme measures of torture, like what I saw was there were some of the people that would not yield, even when they were told, you know, you can eat, you can sleep, you can get all these wonderful things. And then there would be like this, I don't know if it was electric or it was some sort, but it was a mental torture that was so horrible. People would scream and they would torture them and say, deny Jesus, renounce and take the mark. And it was all about, and it was really, really hard. Some couldn't survive it. Many did, but some just, God rose up in them and kept them from it, just like he did in the days of Diocletian or the Roman persecutors, or they would not deny him.
Right.
And then then I saw, like what I said, I saw this kind of execution, but it was just these red lasers that would shoot out from one.
Okay, so actually that was a clip of a video that I saw that kind of related to my vision. So as I was going through this, I was looking for the video that I'm talking about, the airport metal detector. And let's see here. This was 2 years ago. This might be it. This is it right here. So check this out. 2018, I was talking about metal detectors.
Ahead of me. Now I can see more clear what they were doing, and I watched and I saw them grab one person at a time. They grabbed one person at a time and pushed them over this checkpoint. Similar to like a airport metal detector. Similar to like a airport metal detector.
Similar to like a airport metal detector.
You know, it's like a grid type of metal detector thing that they were pushing people over. And I'm telling you, as soon as they push people across this detector thing, either a giant knot would pop out of their arm, out of their forearm right here, a giant knot would pop up. And it was weird because I got to look at it really close, and it was a knot with this scar, like almost as if the knot got burned and it healed. Like a scarish looking knot would pop out of their forearm. And then I saw a guy get pushed over the line, and a giant knot with the same scar looking thing over it popped out of their forehead, on like the side of the forehead. Bam! And people would grab their head and start screaming, or grab their arm and scream.
So, I beg you to warn your family, warn your friends, that this is not no normal vaccine, you know. This ain't even a real pandemic, but they put it on TV enough and they repeat the lie over and over, people are gonna start believing the lie. So don't believe the lie, y'all. I just thought I'd share that with you.
So there you have it, folks. I've been warning people for a long time about this vision that I had, and I never quite really understood exactly what I was seeing until I started putting all these pieces together. I think whatever they're doing is going to manifest once they push us through a machine. But God bless each and every one of you out there. Remember, you're the heads and not the tails. And if God could use me, He could use you too. In Jesus' precious name. Hallelujah. Amen.
Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. Now learn a parable of the fig tree. When his branch is yet tender and putteth forth leaves, ye know that summer is nigh. So likewise ye, when ye shall see all these things, know that it is near, even at the doors. Verily I say unto you, this generation shall not pass till all these things be fulfilled. Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my words shall not pass away.